That being said, Toxic Reality Show. You can hear me now, hopefully, those of you out there. And I am trying to get my viewing ready for you guys so I can see what we're talking about, right? Yeah, there we are. There we are. All right. So, 51 years of marriage is the topic of the show. 51 years, only to find out that you're not the father. Nick Nice J.A., what's going on, Mr. Jameson? And I'm also going to pop out the chat over there. Do a little bit of early maintenance to get you guys on my screen and available. And I know on the YouTube channel we got to work on visitors, and I should start seeing my Facebook guys momentarily. So, that being said, your host, Gordon Nathaniel, Toxic Reality Show. This exciting episode is really a heartbreaker. Man's been married 51 years. Cheers to that one. So, even if he got married, he got married at 20. 51 years, this man is in his 70s. You've been with somebody for 51 years. Only to find out the children are not yours. Without long delay. And let's take a step back. So why are we talking about this? Why is this an important topic? You know, this is an important topic because when we're talking about marriage, and for those of you ladies who are fit, fine, feminine, friendly, like sex, and submit, this isn't about you, but this is about a gentleman who has dedicated his life to this woman and to these children, only to find out there's no way they could be the fruit of his loins. That being said, we're going to jump into this video. So here we go.
I have been married for 51 years. Got 2 sons, 42 and 40. Damn deadbeats. I'm still supporting the little boogers. Needed to take a test to see if any of us had a kidney good enough for my brother. Found out something interesting. They ain't my kids. There's somebody else's. Of course, the only good thing is, I know it's not my fault that those 2 idiots got dumped into his world. Hell, I thought they took after their mother. Instead, they take after the plumber or the postman or the milkman, or they were milkmen back when they came around. I mean, God only knows. It sure gets old. I do wish I knew who the real fathers were, and they ain't the same. She was bopping a couple of different guys. But if I could figure out who they were, I've been practicing law long enough that I pretty well figure I can sue their ass and get all my money back that I sunk into those 2 deadbeats. It just chaps my ass that she couldn't tell me. I'd probably forgiven her. Maybe not. You know how it is. Yeah, boys. Y'all need to go get your own paternity test. You can't tell by looking who's the daddy, unless you're looking down at the genetic level. I've been in court thousands of times in paternity suits at 4 out of 5 times. Guy says he ain't the daddy, he's right. And the genetic test is the only way to prove it for sure. These women are hopping everything that looks fun. You thought you liked sex. You ain't nothing. Well, I guess that pretty well completes that story. I'll go home, start drafting up some divorce papers, see if I can't get free of that crazy bitch. I mean, I stayed with her for the sake of the children and the grandchildren, now the great-grandchildren. But they ain't no kin of mine. Fuck 'em.
Some real stuff right there. That's real. What did Jonathan Poe said? He said DNA tests should be mandatory. This happens a lot. There's a lot of scandalous women out here. Beware of the Delilahs out here, fellas. Joshua said, poor guy. Nice was like, wow. I mean, I'm not going to make this long because this is horrible. John Perkins said the mailmen were delivering more than the mail back in the days. Dang right. And they had milkmen. I mean, but you think about it. As you listen and you go into this, right? You know he's an attorney. He said 4 out of 5 times in a paternity. Now, mind you, the hypocrisy. He is an attorney, and he got it in his own home. Wondering why these two idiots are such screw-ups. And he thought it was the mama. He said at the end, they ain't no kin of mine. Grandkids, great-grandkids, ain't none of that whole legacy is. And found out. Mind you, he went in there to go get a kidney for his brother, saying one of you 2 kids help your uncle out. And you come to find out that there's 2 different fathers for that. So while he was out there working and earning, listen, the true statistic that exists today is that 30% of men have a child that is not theirs, that they've raised. Now, that's the salacious claim. Let's get to the actual, I read the study. And what it says is this. Of the men who question paternity, 30% of those men found out they weren't the father. So what does that look like? 0 to 100. They said in the study, 30% of men doubted whether they were the father. And of that 30%, they found out 30% of that, they were not the father. So all this to say, when you look at the numbers, you're talking about out of all the children born in the United States, 10% are not the biological father. We're talking of millions of kids are born every year, and over 100,000 children or men, 100,000, not the father. It's huge. This man, there's no recourse. Said he might as well go home and draft the divorce papers. He gave his best years. And I don't know if you caught that when he said, you know, I probably would have forgiven her. And he was like, and that tiger, that man that was still buried in him was like, I'll let that one go. I hear all of these grandkids in the pictures, and I guarantee you, she's up there crying, I'm sorry, Hal. I didn't know. You weren't here. Best believe she ain't going to take the responsibility and say, I was out there jumping on everything that came through the door. Let him spray up in me raw. Hats off to that gentleman. Because for most of us, there would have been bodies. What did Corey say? It's sad that men get shafted in the paternity cases. Remember, they're not sugar daddies and spice. I got 2 paternity tests for my son. Listen, those of you watching this, I just gave you a valuable statistic. If you question the paternity, there's a 30% chance you're not. If you question the paternity, 30% chance that you are not. That's significant. But the thing is, when you do question that, you have to be prepared for the next thing. Paul said, I saw this video. I felt sorry for the guy, 50 plus years. He's a strong man because I think many at 70 something years old, it's over. The best thing he's got is Thailand and the Philippines. And here's the funny part. I shouldn't even say funny part. If he does divorce her, she don't get alimony. He got to pay her. He gets none of the money that he's invested in the entire bloodline. That's not his. He dies with his bloodline. That's criminal, man. That's cruel. Nick Nice said, what about the men that didn't question if he did? The ones who didn't, they found out they're the father. But I will say this, and I've said this in a number of chat rooms. As men, I don't care where you stand politics, Democrat, Republican, whatever you are, whatever we're at. As men, we need to unify, just like the women did 100 years ago in their suffrage movement. If a politician is not talking about getting rid of alimony or lifelong alimony, if the politician isn't talking about equality in parenting time, shared parenting time, 50-50 being the baseline, if the politician isn't talking about ending child support, or better yet, extortion by taking from one and giving to the other, if that politician isn't willing to discuss those issues, the extortion of men, don't vote. That is the single most pressing issue of wealth redistribution / extortion going on in this nation, is running under the guise of alimony and child support. It is fleecing men. It is robbing men of their wealth. And then women are talking about, more women own houses than men. Duh. You're fleecing these guys. And this guy, poor man, put his whole life, 70 years. What is he gonna do now? Just live alone. Die with a bunch of Thailand and Philippines prostitutes. But that's the rest of his existence, right? He's lived a full life. He's done. This is sickening. Jonathan said some women have the nerve to lay a guilt trip on men. You asked for paternity tests. I'm sorry, that was one of my issues. I didn't mention that. Mandatory paternity tests. Did you know, in the country of Jamaica, the issue is so rampant with 80% single mothers that the country issued, because so many men found out that they weren't the father of a child, that they issued a decree, all pregnancies, when the child is born, immediate paternity test. That way you take it out of the man's hands. He doesn't have to feel like, I'm calling her a hoe because I went and demanded a paternity test. How dare you question me? No, the government is stepping in and saying, we're going to find out. We're going to, and no, you can't deny it as a man. No. Doing the paternity test. That's where we are. This is sick and disgusting what has happened to this man. It is horrible. What does she get to say? I'm sorry? No jail time. He invested everything. into 2 other men's bloodline. He has no heir. He has no continuation of the blood. She has destroyed that family. Got the nerve to have his last name. And guess what? She knew. She knew those kids. She knew. Eminem said, that's sick. Dang right it is. And again, I'm going to do a show on encouraging, and please share this, but I'm serious. Men, I don't care what political party you are, we're going to sit this stuff out. Now, kudos, not showing preferential treatment to candidates here, but kudos to Ron DeSantis, Florida governor who's no longer in the race. Ron DeSantis passed a law in Florida abolishing lifelong alimony. In addition, because of the story of a man whose child was given up for adoption without his consent. In the state of Florida, if you're not married, the mother previously was allowed to do what she wanted with the child. This black guy went throughout the legislature and got all of these politicians to join. It was proposed by a Democrat in the House. It cleared unanimously, went to the Senate that was Republican held, passed there. Ron DeSantis signed it. Now, in Florida, men have an equal right to the child if the mother doesn't want the child. This woman had given the child up for adoption, and he could do nothing. I don't care where you stand politically, we have to start making decisions that are based in our best interests. No more voting for people who don't represent you. Because it's quite obvious there are people who are elected that are looking out for what are the women's best interests and using the term child support as opposed to what it is, wealth redistribution. It's a red flag. That's a red flag. That being said, tune in next week, brothers. I'm not going to be on forever. This was a quick show. I want to get out to the point. Again, my name, Gordon Nathaniel, Toxic Reality Show. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Tell some friends. Share the videos. We're getting close to 4,000 hours. We're getting close. I need your help. Donations are great, but you know what? Share it with people. Because maybe this video will save some poor man's life from spending 50 years investing in children that are not his. Get that test. You can go to the clinics and they have them where you could just swab the baby with a cotton, bring in your own, and you find out. They don't have to take blood. It doesn't have to hurt the child. They don't have to stick a needle. You could go with a cotton swab right in the gums. She won't even know. They will do a DNA testing. Protect yourself. Because these women are malicious. That's a red flag. See you this week. Next Tuesday, 7 o'clock live.